Hi, my name's Glenn Brace. I'm the head of studio for Elevation. We're here at nDreams headquarters. We've been focusing on core AAA VR titles built for VR from the ground up. The whole studio is built from a people, talent, technology point of view to really hit hard in those areas. We've seen Tomb Raider, we play Uncharted. It's a translation of those experiences into a first-person VR immersive world. You start agile, after progression, you tool up, and at the end you become superhero-like in your capabilities. We're really proud of what we've done with Reach. We can't wait to get it into users' hands, get people experience immersing our title. To talk a little bit more about the game in more depth, I'm going to hand you over to Matt Duff, our design director.
Reach has three core pillars. They've been the same since the start when we first came up with the initial concept. That is action, adventure, and presence. Everything we do is VR first. What we did with Reach is we redefined how you move in a VR game. A lot of the times we're doing physical interactions. You reach out and pull yourself through spaces. Jumping. Traditionally not something that transfers very well into VR due to comfort factors. However, with Reach, what we've done is, because we do it with a gesture-based system, we're tricking the mind into thinking that you're doing it.
Oh, whoops. Nope, still in shot. No, still in shot. Hey, how's it going? We want to give the same depth, freedom and agency that one would expect in a flat screen game. So think like your Tomb Raiders, your Uncharted's, your Jedi Survivors, where you're jumping across massive gaps, flinging yourself along cliffs. The brain can get away with a lot of artificial movement if it expects it ahead of time. You move your arms, you get the movement you expect. You're naturally reaching for something on the other side anyway, whether you're jumping towards a cliff or a crane or some other big climbable set piece thing that may explode in the next 5 minutes.
The adventure side of the game, that's more about your journey through it. Reach does have a linear campaign in the fact there is a beginning and a middle and end, but how you explore the story, the characters, the gameplay mechanics, it's real high agency on your part.
We're asking a lot of the player in Reach, and it's because we're confident that we've got mechanics that the players don't have to fight. For the vast majority, and especially the hardcore VR player base, they want something that lets them do stuff.
You can make decisions that change the way you play the game versus how somebody else might play the game. If it looks like it can be interacted with, if it looks like it can be climbed, you can do it. This game couldn't have been made anywhere but VR. So our present pillar in Reach, one of the very key aspects of that is our FBA, a full body awareness system that we have. In some VR games out there now you play, you are a pair of floating hands. In Reach, you have a fully realized body that moves through the world with you, behaves in a realistic manner, and really reinforces your presence in that world.
Everybody sees a human body every day, right? But it's different in the VR space. So if you look at actually our player character from a third person point of view, it looks really janky. But when you look down at it, it looks really good. With the climbing system, you wanted to be able to account for players who moved quickly or moved slower. If the player moved really fast, the legs wouldn't catch up, so you would have a leg like 2 meters away and you would just have a really long leg. And I think it responds really well in both the crag climbing and regular climbing situations. I'm really quite proud of how we've managed to get that so that it didn't limit design or traversal in any way. I want it to be seamless. I want them to see the full body and experience the full body as a part of the game and just enjoy it as it stands.
We actually inherited a pretty well-functioning climbing system from Synapse. We spent a lot of time going, right, but how do we make this feel really good? So we wanted to have that weight of the physics-based climbing systems, but in a way that We never bounce the player, and we make it as easy as we can to fling from one handhold to another. With the right choices and with the right design decisions, we can let the players do so much more.
So the combat in Reach has both high action kind of factors and high stealth factors. So if you're more of an action-focused player, the tools that we give you can kind of enable you to play in that way. So take the bow, for instance. The bow has multiple different types of ammo. So one example of that is an explosive arrow that you can use to blow things up. The freeze arrow, where you can actually freeze multiple enemies in their state. Finally, you have a stun arrow, which you can use to incapacitate an enemy, and then you can use your grapple hook and use your enemy's weapon against themselves. If you're more of a stealth-focused person, you can use the bow to manipulate enemies, so you can fire it into environments to create sound, and then pull them to different positions and things like that. All of the individual components that we've spoken about with Reach, they're fantastic in their own right. We've been developing them for years. The real key thing in the game is that all of these individual things come together to make the game so much more than the sum of its parts.
It may help pave the way for more games to give the player a similar amount of freedom.
Reach is the ultimate in action, the ultimate in exploration, the ultimate in presence.
I think our solution is pretty damn good.
We're all gamers here at heart. Like, that's one of the great things about our company is we just love games, and that's where this is all started from.
We all quit whatever we were doing outside of VR and we were like, yes, let's go all in. We've worked so hard on bringing titles like Trombone Champion Platinum, Surviving Mars Pioneer.
Come out, wherever you are.
Out of Sight VR, and so much more.
And we are a fully remote team.
A lot of our hires in Flat to VR Studios came from the Flat to VR modding community.
The seasoned VR veterans who have been making games for years in the VR industry, finally bringing them in, allowing them to live their dreams and make these great games officially for VR. Roboquest started as a passion on the flat screen game because I loved the game so much. I loved playing it. We saw that a dynamic movement, the double jump, there's rail grinding in it. But every time I was in there, I was like, man, this would make the perfect virtual reality game. And why isn't this in VR? I traveled all the way to Sweden and kind of cold call knocked on the door of Starbreeze and begged to be let in.
Knocked on Starbreeze's door with no invitation. I was like, hi, excuse me. I would like to make your game into a VR game. Please let me in. And they're like, okay.
I mean, it goes to show you that with a good team behind you, with a passion for doing something special, you can show that same passion to a company that does love the game, that it can be done.
We are really VRifying every single mechanic that we can think of.
Physically peeking around corners. This is a game of dodging and weaving and movement. Being able to physically peek out from behind cover and shoot your enemy is a super immersive, important part of virtual reality. Manually reloading all of these weapons, and there are over 50 weapons in Roboquest.
Do you understand how much work it is to even just do one weapon, to figure out how to make one weapon feel good in VR and make it like the VR version of it? But in a game like Roboquest, when it's so fast paced, all of a sudden doing this really long process of reloading completely breaks the game balance. We had to do that for not one, not two, not 10, but I think it's 80, something like 80 weapons. Oh my gosh, so if you're wondering why it's taking so long, it's because holy crap, we are doing so much.
And then doing things like the slide and the double jump, the rail grind, those are the things that are great in virtual reality that makes you feel like you're really a part of the game. One of the things that we look at really closely right up front when we do these conversions is something like HUD. The HUD mechanic in a flat game, when it's on screen, is not that oppressive, but you put it in a VR headset, it really feels like it's up in your face. So there's a lot of different things that we have to look at and we have to do to change that and make it feel natural. Like maybe moving some of the HUD down to your wrist and see some of the HUD elements. Maybe you're looking for an ammo counter and you see it actually on your gun instead of right directly in front of your face. Something as simple as the mini-map, where you have to have a mini-map on screen. In VR, if you put it on your screen, it's right up in your face and it really breaks the immersion. We're trying to figure out ways that we can do that to keep the gameplay quick and smooth and not overly impressive in your face and keep you in that immersion. Those are the things that really, really make the difference between a port and a conversion.
Now, as I mentioned, and as we've talked about, we have so many games that we're working on.
Yeah, it's great. We talked about Surviving Mars Pioneer that just launched on the Quest and on Steam in early access. Well, it's coming out this fall for full release, and at the same time, we're going to be releasing a PlayStation VR 2 version of Surviving Mars Pioneer. So that's really exciting. And then same for Out of Sight VR. We launched Out of Sight VR to PC and Steam this spring. We will be bringing it to MetaQuest and PSVR 2 this fall.
Wrath Aeon of Ruin, Postal 2 VR, Flat Out VR. All of this is still in the works. We are so excited to bring all of these games to as many platforms as possible. We actually still have, some other announcements, but I think we should probably save that. What do you think, Eric?
There may be another show that Jamie might want to have some of those announcements for.
See you soon.
I was raised in this city's shadow, free to take whatever I need to survive.
We're honouring the core pillars of Thief. Stealth over combat, light and dark as tools, and a richly layered city full of secrets.
I thought I was dead. And who are you?
At Vertigo, we've always been trying to push at the boundaries of what a AAA VR game can be.
Step into the void.
We have been talking to Maze Theory about working together on something.
We were in talks with Vertigo about collaborating on a project when Thief came up and we jumped at it.
I remember being in a call with Maze Theory where we first mentioned the possibility of working on a Thief game, and their eyes just lit up. And I think that was the moment where we knew we had something.
Thief is one of the most influential stealth games in video game history. It set the bar for what a stealth game should be, but it's also an incredible demonstration of the immersive sim approach in video game design.
Thief is built on stealth, tension, and immersion, all of which translate perfectly into VR.
You yourself are peeking behind corners, hiding behind cover, and readying your blackjack to go for a silent takedown. Thief Legacy of Shadow is a brand new game built from the ground up for VR.
It features a fresh story set in the iconic world of Thief with everything reimagined. From level design to stealth mechanics to fully harness the power, presence, and immersion that only VR can deliver.
But we're also fans of the franchise, and we felt it was time for a new chapter.
Thief VR Legacy of Shadow takes place between the original trilogy and the 2014 reboot, centuries before the latter. The city is fractured, ruled by fear and surveillance, under the thumb of Baron Northcrest and his obsession with forbidden knowledge. The Keepers are gone, but their secrets linger in hidden glyphs and relics.
In Thief VR, you play as a brand new character, Magpie, a seemingly ordinary street thief who ends up being a key part of the city's history in surprising ways.
The game is level-driven with a handcrafted campaign. Every mission is designed for maximum tension, player choice, and replayability. Each location you visit is a sandbox of stealth opportunities, layered with narrative threads and hidden opportunities that reward experimentation and exploration. Multiple approaches are core to the experience, and we've built spaces that encourage exploration from every angle, from climbing, crouching, peeking, and listening. Every route you take feels discovered, not dictated. Traversal is physical and intuitive. You climb, vault, and mantle using your hands and body. The entire world is tactile, letting you peek around every corner, over every wall, to scout guards and plan your next move. Classic thief elements, like avoiding patrols, picking locks, and extinguishing lights, all feel more intense and immersive than ever.
You have a door and you hear sound on the other side, you slowly open the door, just have a little peek, and you spot a guard looking at you and you go, oh, immediately close it, and that physicality, you're there, you're the thief, you don't want to get spotted.
Stealth is the heart of the game. It's about using your smarts to stay unseen and unheard. But if things go wrong, you aren't helpless. You can escape into the shadows, knock out guards with your blackjack, or risk a shot with your bow. The bow is a signature tool, rebuilt for VR. Rope arrows let you create new paths and vertical escape routes, while water arrows let you snuff out fires and plunge areas into darkness, perfect for avoiding or distracting guards. The focus is always on evasion over confrontation, but the tools are there if you need them. We're building the city from ground up for VR.
The Thief universe is based on Victorian, Gothic, steampunk. So I took these components and put them together to create a really interesting universe. One that is familiar, but at the same time new and fresh. So what was very important when we were creating the visual language was to make sure dark and light was a real feature, that you could feel like you were hugging the surface and hiding and moving through these environments. So you could really appreciate the fusion of the visual language and really explore these worlds.
It's a reinvention that respects the past but leverages today's technology to pull you deeper in.
And it's a homage really to everything. We're bringing everything together within this new title. We have a lot of fans who understand the world, understand the universe. So what we want to do is bring these elements back to them, but at the same time give them a brand new experience. So I've keyed off all these elements to give it a unique look and feel, and hopefully everybody will enjoy.
I thought I was dead. And who are you?
Fans might have noticed a familiar voice at the end of the trailer, and we are excited to confirm that not only is Garrett back, he is being voiced by the legendary Steven Russell. Check this out.
The first thing I have to say is, I've been living with this character for almost 30 years now. I first auditioned for the role of Garrett back in 1995, 1996, somewhere in there. And we've had a long history together. And it is so delightful to be back with him again. I've missed the old guy. He's got such a great sense of humor, and they have perfectly captured that in this new game. For me, there's something about the character that, it was how I got my start in games. So I really owe a lot to this guy. And it's just a huge, huge pleasure to be back voicing Garrett again.
Thief VR Legacy of Shadow is coming later this year to PlayStation VR 2, MetaQuest, and PC.